I lived in Lebanon and lived in some other countries like Qatar, India. These countries are not Constantinian countries. These countries are not countries where the powerful of the country are Christian and let the Christians do what they want. Welcome to Vlog 2. I'm really happy to have you here. I hope you checked out Vlog 1 as well. I'm a big fan of breakfast sandwiches. You can see here me and my son having some Tim Hortons breakfast sandwiches. Tim Hortons, you know, they used to always have, I would say, a second-rate breakfast sandwich compared to McDonald's, but I've seen that they have improved it quite a bit, and I'm willing to say that I have forsaken McDonald's to go to Tim Hortons to get a breakfast sandwich coffee meal for the first time this week. The hash brown is greatly improved. The egg on the Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich is excellent. If you're a Tim Hortons fan, excellent. If you haven't had some Tim Hortons, take a look at the description below to find a link to Tim Hortons coffee online. You can get Keurig or Loose Grounds. It's the unofficial coffee of Western New York and of course Canada as well. Also, I want to show you here a little bit what we've been doing out here on the lawn. You know, I like to have my son out with me. You'll see him there mowing the lawn with me. I really think it's important for my son and I to have that time together, really enjoy doing some things in the yard together. But also, you know, it shows him what he's going to be doing when he gets older, because everybody grows up around here has to start mowing the lawn, where some other people, you know, they're like telling their kids, you know, do this, do that, but they don't always show. So I think showing them what you're doing and not just saying it is a huge advantage. I wanted to show you a bit about what's been going on with my running, and I did some cycling this week too. I used to only run, but I started doing more with the bicycle because I felt like I had some pains in my joints. I thought, you know, getting older, like I'm getting older now, you know, 40 years old, I may need to start doing some more activities that aren't just running. So I do running and cycling. Now, I do a test every month for the past 6 months called the MAF test. You can take a look at it. Put a link in the description for the MAF method. I don't really fully do the MAF method. I did do low heart rate training, MAF training for many months, but you know, without any speed work or any faster running, I didn't see good results. So what I've been doing now is incorporating some faster work, more like the 80-20 type program. But every month I do one of these running tests and cycling tests. I want to mention that to you because it really motivates me to keep going. Some people, you know, the race is the motivator. Some people have other motivators, but for me, it's got to be more than just races, because since the COVID, there's been like no races. I've did hear this month that the Buffalo Marathon is on. Thankfully, it's going to be in June, but I'm not really ready for it, so unfortunately, I won't be able to make it this time. But I normally run the Buffalo Marathon and sometimes marathons in Southern Canada as well. But for this monthly test, I do a controlled environment, so that means the treadmill every time. That way it's a consistent environment in the garage, on the bicycle, on the trainer, in the basement. That's also a consistent environment every time I do it. And I try to keep the same heart rate in the 130s on both of them. So the idea is to keep the intensity the same, that's the same heart rate, and try to see if you're improving at how far you run how fast you run the 5 miles. Do you run the 5 miles a little quicker? than the previous month. And then with the bike, it's how far do you go in 1 hour, trying to go a little farther. So I did improve a slight amount on the bike. The run is about the same, so I'm hoping that a little more speed training and like different types of workouts will improve that. But if you're somebody who likes this kind of exercise, I encourage you to do something like this. This kind of test will keep you motivated because you have a goal, you have something you're shooting for. Besides that, when it comes to running and cycling, these kinds of low intensity workouts that take some time, you can really take advantage of them for listening to books and podcasts and whatever else with your headphones on while you're doing it. So this month I started listening to Justo González, the story of Christianity, and some of you may have heard of this history. It's the story of Christianity because he writes it in a very easy to listen to or easy to read style, more like a story, but it still carries a lot of the historical details, doesn't leave out the main things. But you can check out reviews of it to see if it's the kind of book you like. But it wouldn't be something like Scott de la Tourette's old history. This book is much more complicated. So you could compare it to a little bit of a more easy reading one. I guess some undergrad history classes might use it, but it wouldn't be considered a fully academic history. But I definitely encourage you to check it out if you like history. Justo González did some updates on it where it's not just the same old history that we've heard. He incorporates many women into the history that we haven't heard a lot about. If you remember the Cappadocian fathers from present-day Turkey, he goes into that discussion and talks about there's a very important woman that's a part of that group of people that many people don't mention, and that she actually had a very big impact on the monks of Egypt in the Egyptian desert. That was where really the monastic whole movement took off from. So yeah, check out Justo González, History of Christianity. I'll put a link down below if you want to pick up that book off of Amazon. You can do a Kindle, you can do any kind of version that you like. Now, one point he made that I really liked was that he mentioned about Constantine in this quote. So listen to what the quote is. But what is of paramount importance for the story of Christianity is not so much how sincere Constantine was or how he understood the Christian faith, as the impact of his conversion and his rule both during his lifetime and thereafter. That impact was such that it has even been suggested that throughout most of its history, the church has lived in its Constantinian era, and that even now in the 21st century we are going through crises connected with the end of that long era. And I want to comment on this a bit, because being in the Constantinian era means being in the era of when the church or Christianity or some type of Christianity is in power in that government, in that political leader of that society. So since Constantine, when he was the emperor, it was him that was the powerful person that shaped the nation that he was in charge of, and he really was able to open up so many things to Christianity because he took all those laws that banned things that were Christian away. Well, even after him, as things became more open to Christianity, there became other leaders that also were the powerful, that also allowed Christianity to flourish under their watch. And it's not always the Christianity that someone personally believes. So maybe your Christianity is a little different from the Christianity that's in charge of your nation or of nations around the world. But it's still something like it. It's still Christian. And so in that case, the powerful are the ones that are allowing and letting the Christians do many things they wouldn't be able to do in other places. I even was just looking at Christianity Today not long ago. They had an interview with, it was a regional leader in Lebanon. Apparently the leadership position is passed to different leaders in different countries in the surrounding area. So this year it's in Lebanon. And the interviewer tried to ask questions, this is my interpretation, that made him a little uncomfortable because they were trying to say, you know, is your position, is your church, is your ministry promoting the gospel of Jesus Christ, you know, letting the people around you know about the message of the gospel and this kind of thing. Basically, the Western person talking to the person who's in a non-Western nation about how open are they with their faith and are they spreading the message. And, you know, the person tried to speak politely about how they operate in their country, but he sort of tried to explain that they're not able to do all of the things that they do in other countries, in the Constantinian countries like the United States, where that reporter was coming from. And so he tried to be polite about it. But, you know, when I read it, it made me think, because I lived in Lebanon and lived in some other countries like Qatar, India. These countries are not Constantinian countries. These countries are not countries where the powerful of the country are Christian and let the Christians do what they want. It's different. So I was comparing it to, you know, somebody in America, they take their megaphone and they go stand in the street corner. They're going to go preach the gospel in the air, and people can't stop them is what they think, you know. And they're being so bold because, oh, what if they do get in trouble for it? You know, it'll be suffering for Jesus Christ. Well, you know, a person in America doing that is actually doing it in a Constantinian country, a country where the Christians are in power in America. And so that person thinks they're being super brave and bold for Jesus Christ, and I think that they have some amount of that, but it's not like the same thing as if they compare themselves to standing on a street corner in Lebanon or Doha, Qatar, or Delhi, India. It's not the same. If you do that in these other places, you could be arrested immediately, you could be deported, you could be beaten by a mob. Like, it's crazy the stuff that will happen to you that you wouldn't hear that happening here. And if it did happen here, the person would be saying, you know, my rights, you know, they can't do that to me. I'm allowed to preach. Like, this is such a culture clash, you know. And so I just think that we should keep in mind that, you know, not every country has the same situation. And it's very interesting that in 300 AD, you know, around 300 when all this was going on with Constantine, we're actually still living in a situation like that today, and in many of these Western countries. But I don't know if the people in the countries are always aware that that's what they're living in, and that, you know, things have been pretty good for them. You know, things have been pretty favorable for them to practice their religion, by and large. And it's not that way everywhere else. And it can't really be that we treat those people badly or expect them to be exactly like us when their country is run very differently from ours. So I just thought I'd bring that up. And yeah, I hope you're doing well. I know it's Easter for the Orthodox right now, and I hope that they're having a great holiday. For everybody who listens to this vlog, thanks so much for coming on. Please subscribe, hit the bell down below, and you'll get more videos like this. So thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.